Hey guys, I'm Steph from Research and Development. I'm here today with Chantelle from Eco Offsets, and we're going to be talking today about offsetting. But before we talk about offsetting itself, can you tell us a bit about carbon and why we should be interested in it at all?
Yeah, good question, because everybody talks about carbon all the time, carbon emissions, carbon footprint, carbon offsetting. So carbon is so important because we know it is the primary cause of the climate crisis that we're in at the moment. Since 1945, we've increased our carbon footprint as a human race by 11 times. And that's mainly because of the Industrial Revolution, how commercialised we all are now, and the ease of access we have to so many resources. But we know that we've only got the next 10 years, really, the next till 2030 to try and reduce our carbon footprint. And we need to do that by 45% to try and stop the situation that we're in at the moment. So that's why it's always about carbon.
I see. And so my assumption is carbon offsetting is a part of the solution. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so offsetting is essentially a way that you look at how much carbon you're producing, whether that's at home or whether that's as a business. You then look at how you could balance that. So if you produce, as a personal carbon footprint, around 13 tonnes is the average in the UK, you would have to offset 13 tonnes somewhere else to balance that out. So if we think about if we could potentially help a landowner in the Amazon rainforest to not have to sell his land to a logging company or a grazing company, that means that all of the trees that are in the forest stay where they are. They keep storing carbon, they keep removing it from the air, and it doesn't degrade the soil as well, because soil is a huge sequester of carbon. So the money that you put into an offsetting scheme helps remain and protect forests, or it could be that it supports renewable energy projects, so hydropower, wind power. So there's lots of different ways that we can balance our footprint. And really, when we think about offsetting, it should be as part of a process. So we don't ever just jump straight through to offsetting. We measure our carbon footprint, we reduce as much as we can, and we put a plan in place to do that, and then we offset. We don't just jump to the end.
So how does that actually look for Green Salon Collective members? What is the process, and how do you go from telling the people that I want to offset and then to actually doing it? What's the process?
So what we did when we saw the great work that you were doing at Green Salon Collective, we wanted to sort of give you a way, your salons, to do this sort of the last step, which would be to offset what you can't reduce. Right. So we took a cross section of salons. We looked at freelancers, we looked at big city centre salons, and we did an average carbon footprint. Right. And what we've worked out is that it's an average of 2 tonnes of carbon per team member. Okay. So if you are a freelancer, you would just offset 2 tonnes. Right. And if you're a salon and you've got 10 full-time members of staff, you would offset 20 tonnes. Right. So it's quite simple to do. You can go on Green Salon website and there's a full page there about how we do it, and you can go through there and do it online yourself. Now it is an average, right? So we've tried to make it as easy as possible to get as many people doing it as they can. So there is an option for people to have a full carbon footprint done, but the most important thing when we look at carbon footprint is how we reduce. And for Green Salon members, you're already handling the waste properly, you've got reduction plans in place, you've got accreditation from the liminality. So following that process, offsetting is a great place to then support that with.
That's good, that clears it up, because I think offsetting can be there's a bit of controversy around offsetting a bit, but you do make a very good point. It's really about mapping your footprint to begin with, making an actual plan for reduction, and then at the very end, what's unavoidable, offsetting that.
Yes, you're right. Offsetting can be seen as greenwashing, and if it's not done in the right way, it absolutely is. If we follow the process of making sure you've got your footprint done, which is a good average, which we've got from Green Salon salons, you're reducing, which is the most important part. So if they're members already at Green Salon, the waste is being handled correctly, if they get accredited through the liminality, that definitely sets you on the right track, because otherwise you are just paying to pollute. You're not changing anything, you're not having any impact on your footprint other than offsetting, which is not where we want it to be. So it's a really good way to take responsibility for your environmental impact today, because some reduction plans that you put in place, you could be saying, okay, we want solar panels on the roof in 3 years, so don't wait for 3 years to do it now, but it must always be following that plan at the same time.
Right. So I understand this to be a collaboration between Eco Offsets and Green Salon Collective, but obviously there are other players involved. So what are some of the projects that you're investing in to help salons to offset their carbon?
So it very much depends what's available at the time, what sort of projects appeal most to salons. So if we do the average footprint, we tend to go in forestry projects, which would be, as we've said, protecting areas of established forests. We do a lot of clean energy. We also do community projects. So these could be projects where families and communities get given a solar-powered cook stove, for example. So that way they can cook with a solar panel, which means they don't have to chop down any trees, they're not burning anything, so that really helps with their health as well. So always trying to feed into these sustainable development goals. And the way that we keep accredited almost with the offset projects we choose is there are 3 main registers. There's the Gold Standard, United Nations and Vera. And projects that are accredited by those 3, they have a register, a global impact register, where they track the good that they're doing. They also track who's offset. So when we offset for a salon, we actually register it in the salon's name, so that the salon can say, we've done this, here's a link, here's our official certificate. So we always make sure they align with the Sustainable Development Goals, and that the salon actually has something to show exactly what they've achieved. They also get some nice marketing, that branded Green Salon, so that's a bit more nice to share on social media. So they get everything they need, and it's a great way to take some action immediately.
I love it. Interesting. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with me today, Chantelle. And if you want to learn anything more about Eco Offsets and how you can get involved, head to the links below.